Hello, welcome everyone back to another episode of the Indie Credible podcast. Despite not having a beard, this is Xander Scullion. I'm joined with what's up?
As he says, looks like a Muppet. That's what he's.
That's dude. When I shaved my beard off, I shaved my lips off too. I feel like I'm just be like a paper bag talking right now. But how's it going, Jeff?
It's doing good. Like the Muppet. Oh man, it has been a crazy ass week, and all I've played is what we talked about last week. Outside of that, like it's been assessment hell out here in training at the Sard Major Academy. Like it has been, like I think I had 5 assessments in the last like week and a half or something. Like it is crazy because like the last one I had like some write-ups and some papers due, and then had a PT test, a physical fitness test on Monday that rolled into an oral assessment the next day, which is literally like pitching off the dome, like regulations. And then yesterday was a debate.
Oh,
And I will say I absolutely crushed and won it because it was hilarious. Like we had to you had to, in a debate you each take a side, but they gave us the opposition. So I'm like, cool, we'll just argue that the wording of the question is bad. So, and it was hilarious because in their end, they were like, "Oh yeah, we agree that your part is cool, whatever." And at the end, we had like a little 5-minute free for all, and I'm like, "I am very glad that you agreed that ours was better. I appreciate that because in the whole thing, we never said that yours was bad. We said that the use of the word more vital." Was what we were disagreeing on. We said yours is great. They all are great. Like they were like, damn. It was hilarious though.
see,
That
played
was
some
that was a fun time.
played some 4D chess. It sounds like. Speaking of
All the time,
debates,
man. All the time, man.
speaking of debates, since our last episode, there was a Nintendo Direct that just came out of nowhere. Just out of nowhere. Is the Direct before the big Direct revealing the Switch 2? Now,
That's all I gotta say about that.
yeah, I mean, it was what it was. I mean, it pretty much just showed us that the Switch is still going to be thriving or still releasing with the Switch 2. But
Yeah.
one of the things I did want to talk about was one of the messages I sent to you about the Direct, about this virtual cart, this like digital ecosystem that Nintendo's trying to do. And it's a very interesting concept for their digital market.
You know what to me it looks like? The most Nintendo way to make a convoluted sharing system work. Like let's make these little digital versions that you can share it with your family for up to a couple weeks, whatever. I was like, you can't just like have everybody on the same account and they have access to it like they do on Xbox or Sony. Okay, Nintendo, thanks. Let's make it a fun thing by being restrictive. Like, I mean, it looks fun. They had a really good marketing pitch on it. Like, it looks fun, but I'm like, how to really Nintendo and muck it up? Like,
Yeah, because see, this is what I'm wondering. Like, I saw it and I'm like, man, that's a really interesting concept. I was like, but what are the restrictions? Like, is it going to be certain
exactly.
handful digital games? Are they going to have a time slot? Like, maybe you can only do the virtual cart option for this digital release for a certain period of time,
No.
which, there's so much they can do that.
Well,
Hmm,
it's very ambiguous is why the questions are there. Like if I were to assess being a previous publisher for Nintendo, which I had access to digital and physical, I would say that everything in their ecosystem applies. From what I was seeing, everything applies holistically, and this is literally their way to allow more sharing. They're trying to make it comparable, and this is where the question is comparable to physical cards. They're trying to really market, hey, you can share physical cards. Now you can share your digital because I'm pretty sure before this, Nintendo was super restrictive with their digitals. Like, you
oh,
could
yeah.
use it on one console. So the fact that they're opening it up to to compete with the others is one thing, but they're still making it Super Nintendo and restrictive. And so I don't think it's going to be specific software. I think it'll be everything. I don't think it'll be a timed exclusive. I think it's just a digital title will have this.
Yeah. Also, I'm wondering if you have to have well, obviously you have to have an account. I was about to say you have to have some online account to do it. So hopefully it's not an upcharge like they did their last because like seems like every feature they come out with they kind of raised the bar a little bit with their online pricing. Like when they added the Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Advance and stuff like that, they're like, oh yeah, there's an extra $20, you know? Like
You mentioned something important, hopefully, because at the time of this recording, the 2 April Direct hasn't happened. It will.
yeah.
But hopefully that the ecosystem continues in the Switch 2 with all the online stuff, because Nintendo has strategically changed their online each time,
Mm,
each generation.
yeah.
There is one thing though, and so I do love reading some books. I do love reading some magazines. The newest issue of Nintendo Force magazine, I like that they're talking about Nintendo operating in, I don't know, I can't remember the term. It was cool. The term was cooler, probably than what I'm about to say. Operating in the gap.
Mm,
Operating in the gap. So it's the gap in between, and they probably had a way better term. The gap in between the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo when the Nintendo still existed. When the Super Nintendo and the 64, when the Super Nintendo still existed. So now they're
yeah.
talking, and like the Wii was going on all the way up until the Switch. But they actually had in the article like the years that the gap existed. We're about to be in the gap for the Switch to the Switch 2, and how long is that gap gonna go? Um,
Yeah.
you know what the danger is? It's not really the danger, but where it's going to go on likely, and again, assessing as a previous publisher, that it'll be much longer, is the limited print companies being able to sustain the physical marketplace on that Switch.
Mhm.
One, to make it sustainable, unless Nintendo doesn't do the Nintendo thing and they keep the pricing, whether you do Switch 1 or Switch 2, the same price.
Yeah.
The issue that I see from like, being part of premium back in the day is it's just the user base for the Switch 1 is so massive. It's like the biggest selling console next to the PS2. So
Mhm.
why would I, even if it was the same price, why would I as a limited physical publisher market to this small amount of early adopters on the Switch 2 when I have everybody on Switch 1 and it plays in the Switch 2? So I can still sell it to the people who operated on the Switch 2. And a lot of these indie games that I would have published aren't taking advantage of whatever these new aspects of the Switch 2 are yet.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that? Like
I
the
mean,
Switch 1's gonna go forever. Like
yeah, it's interesting because like on one hand you have folks saying that, the Switch is, it's starting to show its age. And I see it with some of the newer releases, you
100%.
you play some of the games, you're like, oh yeah, it doesn't look as good on the Switch. But at the same time, a lot of these indie games they're not, trying to, bust the ceiling when it comes to like graphics and a lot of the games are, retro inspired and more focused on the art style and old school gameplay and stuff like that. I don't think they'll be, doing anything with the Joy-Con as mouse. That was one of the things we saw with the Switch 2 during its initial announcement. But
Yeah.
the way that you're thinking about it, I think makes perfect sense. I mean, why not just keep releasing it on the Switch? I mean, because if I have,
Yeah.
like say I get my Switch 2, I'm still going to be buying like Nintendo Switch games. And there's still
Well,
obviously going to be Switch games coming out.
and you got to think about it as, while the Switch 2 is the shiny new penny, as a smaller company. I mean, Limited Run is going to do what Limited Run does. They're
Yeah.
the biggest publisher in the world. But for the smaller companies, they have to make sure that they are able to, number one, stay afloat. So they got to have the maximum, it's called, user base penetration. They got to make sure that they can sell enough copies to keep doing more games and supporting more companies and more indie developers and all that. So
Yeah.
it makes more sense for them to stick with the Switch 1, um, as long as Nintendo keeps that going, which they traditionally have. They were doing
Yeah.
3DS all the way up to like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So It makes sense. So, like for me, I feel like we're not going to see a drastic shift from the physical landscape. And I'm hoping, with fingers crossed, that Nintendo has the digital ecosystem, and it's not a Switch 1 or a Switch 2 digital ecosystem. It's just a digital ecosystem.
Yeah.
So that way, when the Switch 2 comes out, it's just more capabilities, more options for the developers. But the games that they have released, they could either put a little patch on it, or they could just leave it alone, and it works great on the Switch 2. Let's fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting time. But getting to some games we've been playing this week.
I got one little
Oh.
fun thing to talk about.
That's right.
Yes,
Look at me.
yes.
Yes, let's talk about this.
At the time of this recording, it's not live yet, but by the time you're watching this, people, the Super Nintendo limited edition dust sleeve is live. And Xander and I were talking, and I'm like, I am working currently on how cool this video that you've probably already seen is going to look. But I am also, for the first time ever, offering up commissions for the art pieces. So we have showed this off on an episode before, but we got little TNC guy, right? So you can do custom pixels. So like, they're the size of a hand, a little bit smaller, but they're very highly detailed and hand painted with acrylic paint. So I'm going to hand paint them. First time ever I'm doing actual commissions of it, so you can get your favorite. I was like, hey Xander, I don't have any Super Nintendo ones, so I need some for the damn video. Now I have this guy, which is from Kid Chameleon, and as you can see, same size but much more detailed because it's a Sega Genesis one. And recently I had just done this one for 8-bit, which he's a little bit bigger, but it is Bolo from Double Dragon 2.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and the thing is, when you print them, like before you paint them, they look so like normal. And then once you put in all the details that the artist who created the pixel art back in the day for Technos, like it looks so good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of doing, like, when I would do the bead art. When I first started, I started with the 8-bit. And then when I started going to like 16-bit and I started really noticing the color palette a lot more at that point. I'm like, wow, yeah, 16-bit. Look at all these different shades of yellow. Wow.
well, and the difference too is like, because I enjoyed doing the bead art, but like for this, I'm actually putting brush to wood, and the wood has a depth to it. There's like a slight depth. I'm doing a triple process for this one. I'm creating these wood pieces too, so I'm cutting them out, but I'm also getting them scored and etched. So it's etched wood, but then it's also scored, so you get those nice lines. So all the different colors are etched together. And so I do already have, right before we recorded, I got the first one done, and I'm working on a few just for the sample for the video. I got one right here, and this one you can see from the back, it is Mario. And as you can see, this is Mario RPG after you level up, after you win. And so what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna paint it. But you can see already before the paint, like the paint just like this looks cool, but the paint makes it to the next level. And so
It's really hot.
and to me, it's like, why do I do this? Is it's therapeutic. It's nice to do. I enjoy it. But also in a digital world, I like doing something physical, hands-on. This is paint to the process. I'm doing them manually. I'm following a process with it because I want to do it as accurately as the creators of the piece did it. But I put my own little touch on it for different colors because, like, for example, doing these, like this red, technically this red was lighter, but I made it a little darker to make it a little more bloody for Bolo. Do you know the significance of Bolo, by the way?
No, I mean, I know he's like, very, very popular in the Double Dragon franchise.
Well, a Bobo is popular. This is Bolo from Double Dragon 2. So
I see the hair now.
So the significance of him, though, is that Bolo is technically the mid-boss of Enter the Dragon. the Bruce Lee film. His name is Bolo, and he kind of looks the exact same way with the beard and everything. I think his hair was like a little lighter in the movie, but literally he was a big, beefy. I call him the mid boss before Bruce Lee fought the guy with the claw. I can't remember his name, but that was Bolo. So technically, it's based off of Enter the Dragon, going Skobobo to Bolo, and it's always cool. We always said that he was Danny Trejo.
I see it.
Always said, but to me, it's like the actual color palette on the NES made it red. I actually made it just slightly darker because it looks a little bit more like the tank, like a little bloody almost. But like with this one, so the thing is that Kickstarter though, I'm doing that, and then obviously I've only done one big pixel painting, but I will show that off on the video. But also, it's only limited to 100 of these dust sleeves. So once those sell out, like I've always done this, like I will only print that one print run. So that'd be pretty cool. And it's to support Saru Mario, DJ Medina, worked on FX Yuki, has this Ninja Cat indie game that is releasing on the TurboGrafx 16. So that should also be launching around the same time as this Kickstarter. Yeah, talking to Saru, I think he's got it delayed a little bit because Game On is also happening during this full time frame. But he's 100% got this Ninja. I think it's Ninja Cat going on. And the other interesting thing is, I'm doing some commissioned wood guys. Like these guys are gonna be like, like because I hand paint them. It takes a while. Like it'll be like $40 or something. But and you get them, and you could do whatever I will do as long as it fits. I will do it. I will do your thing, and I don't care how complex. I'll mess with it. But Saru is also offering a small amount of commissions. He's gonna do art, like his art, hand drawn art. I think it's like $100 to $140 is what he charges, but it's like you can get some badass artwork.
He does some fantastic work.
Yeah, so there is an opportunity. By the time this airs, it might already be sold out, but if it's not, like he's only offering like one or two, like he's offering a couple digital and one physical. Like that's what he's doing. For me, I'm going to offer up a few of these because I can't have like, oh well, I have to do 200 art pieces now. I don't have the time for that, but yeah, I'll probably put like maybe 5 to 10 up, and maybe like one or two of the big ones.
Well, I feel like having a small print number 2 just makes it more personal. Like
hand number them. I'm gonna sign them on the back. I'm gonna do stuff.
I mean, I think that's really.
Dude, we'll sign them right now. Maybe I should like sign on the back that I've done it. Like end the year, maybe. Now the other thing is if somebody wants to do like a symbol or something, like I could do this and then paint it, like because I did.
Oh, that would be dope.
I could do that.
I like that.
One thing I was noticing when I was moving it to the Zeitgeist, it was getting blurry. Do I have a background blur on?
I think you have your background blur on.
How do you do that? I'm gonna turn that off. I'll turn it off over. Enable background blur. We're back. All right, there we go. I was like, I got nothing in the background. So now maybe Mario won't blur as much. He won't blur as much. There we go. Yeah. But anyways, like if somebody wants to do something simple like a symbol, like basically I'm always like working with people. And also at the time of this recording, I did have the Sega Genesis Limiteds delivered to my house. Like that also happened in the middle of this assessment craziness. They were sitting outside my house. So I'm in class training. And I get home and there's a pallet sitting in front of my garage, and I'm like, "Thank goodness it didn't rain."
Yeah, that would have been
like 1,000 pounds of books. Still, that's the limit. It's 100-ish of those because they're limited as well. There's like about 100, I think 100 of them, and I mean it felt like 100 of them. And I'm gonna do surveys too this weekend. So I got a little packed weekend as always. I'm always doing stuff, Xander.
Oh yeah,
but we're not doing playing a lot of indie games that I would love to play that go into my backlog.
Yeah. And before we get into the games we've been playing, I do have one thing I do want to mention, and I mean by the time this comes out, it's already gonna be out, so I don't even know why I'm mentioning it. But I will be doing a live reaction to the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm doing a live stream on that, so I need to start promoting that.
Maybe you can cut to you going.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
The episode.
this is what happened. But other
Because
than
you know
that,
I'll be in class during it or whatever, and so I'll miss
I,
it. And
I took the whole day off work because I didn't know what time Nintendo was going to be doing the direct when I first heard the announcement. Because I took the time off like the moment they were like April 2nd to Nintendo Direct. I'm like, I need that day off because the Switch Direct is either going to be like early in the morning or like in the middle of the day while I'm at work or like at night. Like I always miss a direct. So this one I didn't want to miss. I'm really excited. But I'm also really excited to talk about the games I've been playing because I got to finally play a game that I've had under my radar for quite some time, and it was just like, I'm gonna go ahead and play it. And it's this game called Cash Cow DX.
Cash Cow DX, huh?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, it's super colorful, super pixelated. It has like almost like a arcade like screen by screen kind of transition, but it's like you have to collect 100 gems and it's very fast paced. You don't have any sort of way to attack these like little creatures that kind of chase you, almost like Pac-Man. It's a mixture of like Pac-Man meets Donkey Kong with a little bit of Sonic. That's the best way to describe it because you
I love
cannot,
the combos.
yeah, because you can't fight the bad guys unless you get like a pickaxe, which is almost like the hammer from Donkey Kong. So that's when you can
Okay.
defeat them. But you're trying to get 100 gems in a certain amount of time, and there's certain power ups where you can like hit and it gets like the mother load, so then like more gems are worth more, so you can get as many as you can. But it's super colorful, super cheap too. It's like 7.99. It's also on the
Okay.
Nintendo Switch. I got it on Steam, but really, 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 really cool stuff.
This whole time, because like I do my research on the fly, like the Neanderthal, and it completely froze, so I couldn't even look up Cash Cow DX. Like, I want to see what it looks like. Damn it, Steam. Like I had to like close the browser because the whole Steam browser like
Well,
busted.
I was about to say, while you're looking that up, I'll read the
Oh,
description.
it's loading. It's just it prep. Oh yeah, so you got like a crazy punker, dude, punker pig with a mohawk, huh?
Yeah. Yeah,
Holy
please.
cow. So when you said Sonic, you weren't kidding because like there's tons and tons of like little shiny things and you're like doing little circles and
Yeah.
grunt. Like so for me, have you ever played Mappy or Mappy Land on the NES?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're like your little cat and the mouse. Like that's what the platform reminds me of because it's like arcade single screen, but it scrolls a little bit left and right.
Yes, yes,
And then you
that's
have the Mario Brothers pipes, like from the original Mario Brothers pipes,
mm,
but you can go through it and come out to the other side. So it's like side scrolling. And
yeah.
then did you see that there's like barrels from Donkey Kong? You played it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's got so much different stuff. I mean, like, it is challenging too. I mean, when you start off on easy mode, and I was like, I can't go to normal. And I was like, no, easy is like by default, and it's still very challenging. Like, it took me a while to like kind of get the groove of it, but man, once you get the groove, it's a lot of fun.
Dude.
It-
So, um, do you know this developer at all? The developer's name. It's Pixel Games Sorrel S, but I'm actually very familiar with another one of this guy's games.
I'm looking at his catalog
So,
right
so
now.
there's a game that he's done. It's called Donut Dodo. It actually has a physical on Switch. That game is freaking outstanding. That is like a spiritual successor to like Donkey Kong. And I reason why I'm very familiar with them is because Premium almost signed Donut Dodo.
Ah.
Very, very close. At the time, I think it was Barry that was doing the contract negotiations or something. He said that it was too small or too niche of a game to stand on its own. I disagreed. I said it was a badass game and I wanted to sign it. And they were talking about other games that they could have paired with Donut Dodo. And I think this upcoming game was one. Like, because Cash Cow
Wow.
DX. Now there's another game that just came out a month ago
Oh
called
yeah.
Looney Landers. And it's another arcade. This guy's like the arcade inspired master. Like there's like cuz he did he's done other games called like Siggy a fart.
I was about to mention that. I love that game. That was an early. That was an early Switch game. I remember playing that.
And then Sir Love-A-Lot, which is another one. Both of those games have more like modern graphical aesthetics. But Dona Dodo, super, super early arcade, late 80s, early 80s arcade retro. And then Cash Cow is like 90s arcade retro. So Cash Cow DX to me seems like the most interesting of all the games that I'm seeing here by the developer. They're all super affordable too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check out Dona Dodo.
I have my physical copy of it too. As soon as it came out, I'm like, oh, I'm getting it. 'Cause I would have published it back when I was still the CEO Premium. Like, I thought it was the badass game. Like, but then again, us being the old guys, maybe we're out of touch with the cool folk.
Yeah,
maybe we're just out of touch. But yeah, to me though, I was like, it's so Cash Cow I gotta check out. You're gonna check out Dodo Dodo. I'm gonna check out Cash Cow. I have the thing is that like I have to like go back into the show notes and like put stuff because I'm not logged into Steam and I'm recording on my phone, so I'm not able to just click the little wish list right now.
Yeah, I'll have to remind you for sure because I think you'll really like it. It's a fun pick up and play game, but it's one of those games that you're just like you get a game over and you're like one more time.
You know what the last one was for Incredibles? Anna Lynn that we were playing, which was a bad. I had to win. Yeah. Like that's to me like it's almost like we have little like sects of styles of games nowadays in the indie zeitgeist because you have like these are like the arcade inspires. Like they're like more arcade inspires. And then we got our indie pixelated masterpieces that blow away anything that we could have imagined as kids, like the Metroidvanias and all the craziness from a platformer perspective or even an action perspective. And then you got like the ones with like the neopunk, like crazy, like lights and like and then you just got 3D masterpieces, and it's like these are all indie that we're talking about. Nice AAA, like not AAA at all. Like,
So many.
like, but it's like it feels like there's certain like, and you got the ones that are inspired by Hollow Knight. So got the guys up there; they haven't fallen yet.
Now, what have you been playing, Jeff?
So the only games I've been playing are the ones that we agreed to play for the podcast.
Oh yeah.
So one of them that we had talked about that we are gonna do a community one on was Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion because we had talked about Lunacid last time. And Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion, while I didn't get around to playing a new playthrough, my daughter and I had talked about it because my daughter, who's 13, was super obsessed with it last year when we were playing it. And there's hundreds of levels to play. So I'm not sure if you had time to play Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion.
I didn't, but I watched.
That you promised to the listeners that you would play.
I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to play it. But I did watch some B-roll, and it's it's a
basic.
Weird, yeah, and it's weird because it's like a cozy jump scare game. Like, it's not threatening, but even watching
until it is.
Yeah, but there was still parts I was still like, whoa, because it just lay nowhere.
The interesting part is that you're wandering in a Doom style 3D aspect in the mansion, and little Spooky pops up every once in a while and talks smack to you, and you're just walking through, and then all of a sudden, a little cardboard cutout of a ghost pops up. So just to scare you, and you're just going through. You go level to level. Sometimes there's nothing, and then all of a sudden, these creepy looking like Japanese horror characters follow you. You look behind you, you're like, oh crap, and they just follow you. But then certain ones, if you look at them, they'll like attacking like or appear in front of you. There's one that reminds me of like the from Majora's Mask, the kid, the Skull Kid.
Yeah.
And if you don't look at him, he'll attack you. So when he comes out, you gotta look at him and he'll back off. There's certain, and there's other ones that are like London was telling me is that there's like secret bosses that auto kill you. Like if you happen to come across their level. And I want to say we were playing it, and like her and I would take turns because I think you do every like 50 or every 100 levels, you get like a break. I want to say we got to either if there's I mean I could be wrong, but if there's like 1,000 levels, I think we got to level like 800.
Oh,
As the
wow.
furthest, that's the furthest she's ever gotten. And so we paused it. So we haven't went back. And I don't want to start it back up and ruin our save by dying real quick because it
Yeah.
might just because as you go through, you kind of learn the patterns of all the different ghosts that want to, kill you or do whatever. And if you lose lose your hearts all in one time, you got to restart. So it's just a super simple, fun game, super fun for people to stream online, which is why it got a huge following. And Lunacid is like by the same developer, so it's kind of cool to see them evolve. And that did make my games of the month for the month. I'll talk about that at the end of the episode, though. The games of the month.
Oh, yeah. Now there was a game that was sent to us from a developer that we checked out. It's called like Isekai Survivors.
You actually said that better than I would have. Ishkai. Isekai. I don't know. Yeah, the thing is that like Isekai Succubus. Don't look up that one, people. Like it's Isekai Survivors.
But this was an interesting game, and they reached out to us and they were like, let us know how this is, like be real. And I surprisingly I had some issues running it on my mini PC when I first started playing it. Yeah, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll just put it on my laptop. And I mean, I turned down the settings and everything on the mini PC. I put it on a laptop and played a little better, but it was still something was wrong, and it was the actual game itself because the game is very laggy, very slow.
Yeah.
Now I do want to mention though that this game is still in early access. Right now you can get it for $5, $4.99. It's in early access, so a lot of things that we're talking about uh is probably going to be addressed later on.
Well, and let's set the wallpaper before we go down the rabbit hole. So this is an action roguelike game, Vampire Survivors like. The graphical aesthetics, they remind me of the Outbound Ghost. If you've ever played the Outbound Ghost, the Outbound Ghost actually has a roguelike Vampire Survivors like as well. And this one reminds me of the same graphical aesthetics. And so you have, this whole thing where you have this very complex roguelike, uh, build your characters, build your skill sets, build all the things. But I'm in agreement with you. It is when you're playing super, super slow. So my first recommendation would be to increase the character movement a smidge. You want to be able to outpace the enemies a little bit more. So that would be the first piece is that like regardless of being able to ramp up the speed later, you want to be able to already outpace because you're gonna make mistakes and chunk off get off chunks of your life. Like you're gonna still take damage a little bit faster because it just feels sluggish. And if you're doing that in combination with maybe the PC having a little bit of lag, like it seems even more sluggish. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that 100%. I would say that the like even the right now the shot on the main Steam page, I think it's like distorted the artwork. Like that just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Like go through your art and put your characters on there. Like the characters in the game look cool. Just like put that in there and make it so that way that artwork pops. And then I've noticed like when you're doing attacks and stuff, it's almost like they took like PNG files and just like no animation, just bing, like it's just like fireballs. It's just like a fireball picture just moves down with no like animation.
Yeah.
Did you notice that at all? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I do like the Paper Mario kind of graphic style that it has with it. I do like that. Like, because everything looks like it's like, sheets of paper, kind of just moving.
but even like Paper Mario had different frames, of
Yeah.
animation.
No, I agree.
And I mean, it's the same way that you have, and this is for the developer, the same way that you have the enemies and the character movement. Apply that to the other aspects. Just a couple little frames will go a long way to making it just feel a little bit more alive as a world. because they're willing to actually work on the game, this could be excellent as they continue to, work on like making this game a little bit better. Now, I did not get into the whole system of upgrading, updating, doing all the roguelike, survivor-like aspects. Did you get into any of that?
I didn't get too far because I was having so many performance issues. So I was like, so yeah, that was kind of unfortunate. But something that I brought up before we started recording, because we were talking about it, and I'm like, well, it is a $4.99 game. But you brought up a good point that, with this, constructive criticism, this could be the next Vampire Survivors, because Vampire Survivors was a cheap game.
It's like
You know?
$4, $3 or $4, the base game before all the expansions. Yeah. So I mean, so that's the one thing is that just keep on refining, keep on polishing it. Right now, I can see where the hook could exist. One example that I would recommend that the developers look at for inspiration is how the flow works in Hollow Cure. Hollow Cure, that's a free game, but Hollow Cure has an anime aesthetic to it. It's based off of the Hollow something YouTuber thing that I never heard of until I played the game. But it's like one of the best ones next to Vampire Survivors. And it has a similar graphical aesthetic. It's just this has a lot more of an open space, whereas Hollow Cure has more confined into anime aspects. But it's like ridiculous with like internet memes and stuff. But looking at it from how they do animation, how they do things, maybe you like kind of dial in what you're doing a little bit to those pieces, just to add a little extra to, especially if you're charging $5. I think you're charging more than Vampire Survivors at this point. There's games that do free, there's games that do other things. So if you're going to do that, you have to raise the bar at a quality level. Because what we don't want you to do is like you're doing this and you're struggle busing at the $5 mark, when in reality, you look at your competitors, like see what they're doing too, and then either do it better if you're going to charge the premium for it, which is fine. $5 is still not a ton. That's still a good price for games, but when you're comparing it to others in the genre, you're going to outpace yourself. So don't get discouraged if the sales aren't good, if you're charging a little more than the legendary game in the whole construct of indie. So just keep that in mind from the reality perspective. And I mean, but I see a fun game here. So I've played some that are just like, it's just, you just move around and there's nothing to it. It's just that we just need a little more animation here, and a little more refinement. Now, we didn't get into the mechanics because just at the mechanics perspective, kind of both of us kind of got a hard wall.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah,
hey, it's in early access. There's always room for improvement. And I do want to thank them for reaching out and listening to the show and being like, hey, check out our game. That's awesome.
Exactly. But either way, though, that's the feedback right now for this version of the early access. I mean, the mechanics itself were cool as you're playing. Like I was constantly adding more power. That's always fun to be powerful as hell.
It's always the good thing about those roguelikes. Now, are we going to on the horizon? Are we looking
I think it's
over in the
time.
distance? Over the distance to seeing some of these games?
Oh yes.
Because this first game I want to talk about, dude, instant wish list. Here we go. Odinfall.
Odinfall. So you skipped one. Cool.
I think we did. I think we did the first one. I think we did it on a previous episode.
Did we?
Yeah.
So the first one in our list was Overbowed, and I think I think you're right. We did talk about the Game Boy game. Say I had a confusion of the skull to the antagonist, but Odinfall, huh? What's so good about Odinfall, Xander?
It's super colorful. It is out of this world. It's got the heavy metal soundtrack. It's a twin stick shooter. Just insane. Pure insane, dude.
Total Carnage vibes here.
Yeah.
Like but like with like crazy ass giant little bosses that have like personality to them. Like there's like in one of the screenshots, you have like this little knight guy that just has these big red eyeballs. Like it just makes me want to like shoot the hell out of him. Like I don't like I just want to destroy everything.
It's very colorful, and yeah, I watched the trailers, getting the B-roll for the episodes, and I was sitting there watching, like, ooh, oh, okay, adding this to the wish list.
Oh.
And it's still in early access. It's $12.99. A little bit about the publisher developer. It looks like it was Fire Shine Games. And
Yeah, for the publisher, yeah.
yeah, I'm looking at some of their stuff.
Well, so the interesting piece too is that some of the pictures. So there's a picture that shows like a little Triforce thing, right? The game is Odinfall. It is a Viking themed roguelike, and I have Viking in my heritage. Like literally the symbol I have right here.
Oh, there you go.
I was like, holy shit, they got my symbol, because there's like three of us with my three of my bros. We all got that the triad, the triple, and I was like, it is literally in the middle of the symbolism. I'm not sure like what you do, if that's the end of the level, if that's a level up spot, but it's like literally there. And I'm like, I actually have the tattoo of it on my on my back. That's ridiculous. Like, but a Viking themed roguelike, like, count me in.
Yeah, it
all day.
Oh man, looks so good. This is the first game.
Let's just be very clear. All these games that we're covering on the horizon are in my March games of the month for indie gaming champs. All of these are, including Odinfall. This game is amazing.
Yeah, and it looks like the developer was Ember Paw Games, and this is the first game they ever developed. So, wow.
That we can see on Steam is the key right there too, because like everything that we're looking at there, some of these developers may have like an itch.io.
That's true.
Or may have been part of other game studios or whatever. But this is the first one that Ember Paw Studios on Steam has released individually. That would be the key right there, because indie games are terribly documented. Like it's like we can see what we can see here easily, but who's to say that this badass developer doesn't have insanity? Other insane games is what it's meant to say. But like there's a million, because I just looked, I'm like, oh, there's more biomes. There's lots of biomes in this, so they call them biomes, the Metroidvania term. No, this yeah, I like one of the terms says colorful.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ember Paw. You're so colorful. Now it's, but like to me, like having an awesome, because I'm a huge advocate of the old Super Smash TV arcade, and just having games that do it right are always badass to me.
Well, this next game is also badass, and this is coming from a genre that I think both of us have been coming more and more enamored with. That's, of course, the boomer shooters. We've been talking a lot about boomer shooters, and this is no exception. This is Chains of Fury.
Chains of Fury.
Man, this game kind of made me think of, I think the game was called like 13. It was like a cel-shaded first-person shooter on like PS2 and GameCube. Really fun game. And this is a cel-shaded boomer shooter. Really funny, like sense of humor to it as well. I thought the dialogue,
adrenaline, fast-paced boomer shooter.
Oh man, looks
so. You have one goal: spread furious mayhem among the scumbags, keeping you locked. Just punch through walls. That's why I did the punch. Just punch through walls and shoot the suckers behind them. Like that's ridiculous. Like these guys are hilarious. Like I don't know who these developers are, but they seem like our kind of people. Cobble games. They got a lot of games. Like, I mean, if you want plain mechanics simulator, they got you covered. But if you want to punch through walls and shoot people in the face, they also have you covered.
Well, it's funny I mentioned 13 because I'm looking at the I'm looking at some of the notes from the developer, and they said it was retro inspired by 13, Duke Nukem 3D,
Makes
Doom
sense.
Quake. He says we shoot for the top. You know,
It makes sense, but it's just so hilarious that you see like these developers did all these simulator games and these mechanic games, and then insane boomer shooter. Like it's like left and right like limits. It's so cool to see. Games like $10, like not bad.
yeah, not bad.
Not bad. You can give the middle finger when you're when you're playing the game, which is ridiculous. But I like that you can you everything is like you said with 13 is cartoon, so even the animation looks amazing. Like when the railgun's going, and everything has that as you're moving around the Doom style with the character stuff. Like you're just sitting there and it like pivots as you're moving around it on that 2D plane. Like that's just a stylistic choice that they wanted to do, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
It
Dude.
looks really good.
That's why I said all these are games of the month. Now, did we cover the next one already? I don't think we did.
We didn't, and it was really surprising because I didn't read the description, and the first thing I thought was like, "Man, this is a lot like
This looks like a
Turrican."
This looks like a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, I'm like, this plays like Turrican. This is interesting.
That's the neat thing. It is. Nah, it's like I like that they're doing it. I mean, now this is literally limited run style. Limited run style using their engine, which I think was by Modern Vintage Gamer.
The Carbon engine, yeah.
The Carbon engine, but this is like a reimagining because it's called the Rewind. But also it just has the ports in there too. The Super Famicom game. So it was developed too. It wasn't just Carbon Engine because this was developed by Manfred Trins. I'm trying to say the names as dorky as possible. But like 100%, this shoot 'em up and combination of shoot 'em up and Turrican is like excellent. Like Render and Ranger is like one of the hidden gems on the Super Famicom back in the day. Like it's awesome. The fact that we get to see it now. I thought it was interesting that Rainbow Arts is the developer, but like that's out. They also did X Out that we talked about, but they did a couple other games that were not like Lollipop and Mids. But yeah, very interesting. I think it's interesting too that the developer's limited run games, but the publisher is Ziggurat.
Yeah, it is interesting.
It's very interesting. I don't know if they got because like Ziggurat does a lot of the Carbon Engine stuff like Boy and His Blob Retro Collection and Slave Zero X and Killing Time, and like they picked out a lot of games in here. It might just be because they have a working relationship with that developer. Rainbow Arts, which is probably Manfred Trends' company. Maybe I'm making an assumption, but yeah, it's an interesting piece because like limited run obviously is doing the physical of it. But I don't know if they actually did Carbon Engine. They provided Carbon Engine. If Manfred works with them, like who's to say? But the game itself, like
Awesome.
badass.
Great stuff.
Well, and so like there was a retro game. I can't ever remember the damn name of it. That was on the Famicom and also on retro computers that had this aspect where you could play as a character and then turn into a ship. But it was more like 8-bit. And it was older school. And like this to me, Render and Ranger is like a spiritual successor to it. I'm trying to like think of the name of the game, but like I had it. Is it it's not Xerion because that's a shooter. But it's one of those like in similar name, but it's on the Famicom and it's super like the scrolling and it's very choppy though. And this is like Contra. Insane. Contra 3 Alien Wars, like graphics everywhere, explosions, like such a badass game. Love it.
This game right here looked really, really cool, and apparently, I guess it's a sequel, but I've never heard of it. But
I had the sequel. I had the original.
Oh,
because I'm old.
Called Beyond the Ice Palace.
Beyond the Ice Palace 2 is this game. As here's the thing, so the original game was an amazing Commodore 64 style just like adventure game. It was badass. Beyond the Ice Palace was a classic. This is like a freaking adventure exploration action platform, like Castlevania style.
That's what I was getting.
It looks so freaking good. Like, and if you haven't like seen screenshots, Beyond the Ice Palace is super basic, man. Commodore 64, but like I grew up with a Commodore 64. So like, but the fact that they decided to just like bring back this like IP and just make it a badass
Side scroller. I mean,
so what is thoughts on this?
it's right up my alley. Like I was like, man, this looks like a Game Boy Advance style Castlevania game. You know, even the movements, he kind of moves like Johnson from Portrait of Ruin almost, you know. But I really, really like it. I mean, I like that you can use your web to kind of swing, you know, Super Castlevania 4 style, like with Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right up my alley.
So if you want to like compare the original Beyond the Ice Palace, like it's because the Commodore 64, I've always said is like in between the Atari and the NES. Like it's right in that between. So like screenshots for it, it almost looks a little ZX Spectrum-y with character art, but it does have lots of different colors in it. But it's like original Castlevania style action, but a little more basic. Maybe like Gorvelius a little bit on the Master System. Maybe I'm going a little too obscure for the normal folk, but it does have a charm to it, and it's one of those that really like that one. Gianna Sisters, a few of those, Jumpman Jr. really like epitomized what a great action game was in that era before the NES really established it. And this one, the spiritual successor, just takes it and makes a badass game. Now you say Game Boy Advance, I say PlayStation Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
That's a much different bar. Like I feel like it is like, because it has a little more darker colors, darker textures. And I think Game Boy Advance, I think like neon outlines and stuff, so you can still see it, whether the non-backlit ones and all that. Like I feel like there's a lot of limitations for the Game Boy Advanced ones that a lot of fans have fixed over the years. So when you play them on the modern handhelds, they're even better than they were originally. But like, yeah, this game just looks so good.
Now, I was gonna say this game is actually in a bundle as well, and the game that's in the bundle is really, really good. That does have some deep roots with the Castlevania series.
What did you say? What did you say about it? It's really what?
It's really tied like into like some Castlevania stuff. Because this is the game that was with it was called
It's not good though.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's not. I literally put it in the Metroidvania Chronicles as game player beware.
Oh no.
Avoid this game because I wanted to like it. It's just not.
Maybe that's my problem too. Because I never did finish it. But the what is it? The Wachala Reign of Dracula or whatever.
The graphics and animation in the game are great, but it's just like it's just the replayability that got me.
Yeah.
But Beyond the Ice Palace, freaking that's on my backlog. That's where that is because it's excellent. Now Wachala, I think I have on Switch physical and stuff too. So I still bought it, still support it. It's still great. Wachala is still great. It's just it's not at that next level that I want.
Oh yeah. No, it's in the bundle.
We're pinning it nails. But how much is that bundle?
Oh, let me go back because I was looking at screenshots of the game. So you can get the bundle. You can get the bundle for like $26.98, like
and
$30.
The Ice Palace is a $20 game. Yeah. So that's not a bad little combo pack right there.
Not at all.
What has Storyboard done? Storyboard Studios. What have they done? Because it looks like they've done a lot. I say they've done a lot. They've done a lot. And, is there
They did
stands out? They did Galgun. Interesting. Is there anything that sticks out of like the legendary games? Because there's, I mean, when I say there's a lot, like I'm scrolling. They did Curse of the Sea Rats, which is the other player beware. Oh man, that was bad. That was really bad. Now this looks more like a digital publisher page, not a developer's page.
Yeah, it does.
I would argue that they likely didn't, because like Evergate Keys Awakening is excellent. That's a free game right now. Evergate Keys Awakening. Keys Awakening is the prequel. Evergate is the actual release from 2020. But there's a little they did Hellward Nurse. Hellward Nurse is excellent. Now like that is definitely they did Songbird Symphony, which was the physical release back in the day.
Oh, Songbird Symphony is good. I like it.
But I don't think Storybird Studio is the developer. It's got to be somebody else. Interestingly, the publishers are P-Cube and Pixel Heart, which are both physical indie publishers. So we should see a physical Beyond the Ice Palace, and count me in. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. I want to, because again, all these games we're talking about are on my games of the month. Now, Beyond the Ice Palace might be the game of the month. I don't know, because there's a game that we had talked about in weeks prior, the Alruna, that was excellent. I have not. I'm still recording the month games, but then I gotta make my physical treat. Where
that's right.
This might be a cool one. The May
That would be a good one.
yeah.
Very detailed.
All right, so what is our final game here of the episode? Just another $20.
The Sacred Acorn.
Oh, look at how intense you made that. This one's a drastic difference from the others. I mean, these have all been kind of like from different genres and stuff, but this one has that action adventure overhead Zelda style that I definitely always get. And this is a 100% terrible to say right at the beginning. What is a cozy Souls-like? If you rip your head out in a cozy way. In a cozy way, just rip out all your hair. It's Souls-like, it's good. You gotta die a lot, but you can't make that cozy. I mean, I see where they say cozy because the atmosphere. You're a little squirrel. Like,
yeah, and it's like the color palette's very soft and pastel. You know, it does look like a cozy game, but I guess the difficulty is what makes it Souls-like.
So to me, it reminds me from an aesthetic perspective to like Tunic. In Tunic, you're anthropomorphic. This time, you're literally just like it's a squirrel, but you're talking with lots of. So it's more animals, but there's definitely tons of little enemies you got to continually fight. I think it looks interesting as hell. I just don't know how the game plays. That'll be the interesting thing with the hook. Definitely game of the month material though, because it's I call it well instead of a Souls like, let's call it a Squirrels like.
It's a Squirrels like. It is a little more pricier than some of the other games we mentioned.
$20, yeah.
You know, if I had to choose, now here's the question: if you had to choose between the Sacred Acorn or Beyond the Ice Palace 2, they're both like $20 games. I mean, I'm gonna get that Ice Palace, man.
Woo. Well, and that's your current do you like the cozy Souls like Zelda style right now, or are you into the Metroidvania with gritty graphics? Like to me, right now in this current phase of my existence, I am being drawn to the Metroidvanias, of course. I mean, writing books on it, loving playing them. Now, if I was going to play one right now, I would probably go to not a Souls-like, but a cozy game. Might actually be something that I would play first versus another Metroidvania, because there's a million out there and they're all great. Like this, like Beyond the Ice Palace is added to the backlog, but the backlog is infinite. So it's like that's where it's actually not an easy question, because it's what am I going to play right now in the current busyness that I have? Like maybe the Scrolls like is where we jump into versus now I'm going to support and get both, but
Yeah.
Because like anything that's in my top 10 of the month, like on Indie Gaming Gems, is worth buying. It's in the wish list already. But yeah, it's like, but what do I play first is the question.
Well,
What
I'll
would
just-
Bolo say? What would Bolo say?
He would say that the sacred acorn is nuts. That's what he would say.
Oh my gosh. But I think that's a perfect time to complete the episode, Xander.
Indeed, indeed. Now, I said before we leave though, that wasn't there something you were going to mention before we left? You were going to mention something.
I was going to mention something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can't remember now.
Yeah. I was going to mention something. Something about something.
Yeah. Something.
Probably was.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. And as always, support indie.
There is something we got to say before we support indie, because we always support indie. Thank you to the executive producers, including Akriloth. We have the Disgruntled Gamer, aka there is Lunchbox from the Thunderdome Gaming Society, David Isherwood, and Jesse Glenn. Now, Xander, you can
Support indie.